The Confessions of Saint Augustine, Book 4, Chapter 8. Times lose no time, nor do they roll idly by. Through our senses they work strange operations on the mind. Behold, they went and came, day by day, and by coming and going, introduced into my mind other imaginations and other remembrances, and little by little patched me up again with my old kind of delights, unto which that my sorrow gave way. And yet there succeeded not indeed other griefs, yet the causes of other griefs. For whence had that former grief so easily reached my very inmost soul, but that I had poured out my soul upon the dust, in loving one that must die, as if he would never die? For what restored and refreshed me chiefly was the solaces of other friends, with whom I did love, what instead of you I loved. And this was a great fable and protracted lie, by whose adulterous stimulus our soul, which lay itching in our ears, was being defiled. But that fable would not die to me, so oft as any of my friends died. There were other things which in them did more take my mind, to talk and jest together, to do kind offices by turns, to read together honeyed books, to play the fool or be earnest together, to dissent at times without discontent, as a man might with his own self, and even with the seldomness of these dissentings to season our more frequent consentings. Sometimes to teach and sometimes learn, long for the absent with impatience, and welcome the coming with joy. These and the like expressions proceeding out of the hearts of those that loved and were loved again by the countenance, the tongue, the eyes, and 1,000 pleasing gestures, were so much fuel to melt our souls together, and out of many make but one. Chapter 9. This is it that is loved in friends, and so loved that a man's conscience condemns itself if he love not him that loves him again, or love not again him that loves him, looking for nothing from his person but indication of his love. Hence, that morning, if one die, and darkenings of sorrows, that sweeping of the heart in tears, all sweetness turned to bitterness, and upon the loss of life of the dying, the death of the living. Blessed whoso love you and his friend in you, and his enemy for you. For he alone loses known dear to him, to whom all are dear in him, who can't be lost. And who is this but our God, the God that made heaven and earth, and fills them, because by filling them he created them? You known losers, but who lives? And who leaves you, whither goes or whither teeth he, but from you well pleased, to you displeased? For where does he not find your law in his own punishment? And your law is truth, and truth you. Chapter 10. Turn us, O God of hosts, show us your countenance, and we shall be whole. For whithersoever the soul of man turns itself unless toward you, it is riveted upon sorrows, ye thou it is riveted on things beautiful. And yet they, out of you and out of the soul, were not unless they were from you. They rise and set, and by rising they begin as it were to be. They grow that they may be perfected, and perfected they wax old and wither, and all grow not old, but all wither. So then, when they rise and tend to be, the more quickly they grow that they may be, so much the more they haste not to be. This is the law of them. Thus much have you allotted them, because they are portions of things which exist not all at once, but by passing away and succeeding, they together complete that universe whereof they are portions. And even thus is our speech completed by signs giving worth a sound, but this again is not perfected unless one word pass away, when it has sounded its part, that another may succeed. Out of all these things let my soul praise you, O God, Creator of all. Yet let not my soul be riveted unto these things with the glue of love through the senses of the body. For they go whither they were to go, that they might to be, and they rend her with pestilent longings. Because she longs to be, yet loves to repose in what she loves. But in these things is no place of repose. They abide not, they flee, and who can follow them with the senses of the flesh? Ye who can grasp them when they are hard by? For the sense of the flesh is slow, because it is the sense of the flesh, and thereby is it bounded. It suffices for that it was made for, but it suffices not to stay things running their course from their appointed starting place to the end appointed. For in your word, by which they are created, they hear their decree, hence and hitherto.